Hey, welcome back to the gray area, where we're just two dudes having a conversation.
Uh, Quick reminder, we're no way professional and we have no intention of offending anyone, but we do welcome your opinions, comments, decisions in the comment section below.
Alright, so today we are going to be discussing, or talking about, can you justify murder / violence in a hyper-realistic VR setting? So,
Yeah.
mainly, so when I say hyper-realistic, I really mean like you can feel the pain kind of deal.
So it's like, it's super real.
Like full immersion kind of thing. We're talking super futuristic.
Okay. But then the thing is,
Mm-hmm.
the issue with that is,
Yeah.
if that is your perception of reality, then that is real. You get what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah, I understand.
Because reality is perception.
Yes.
So if this VR is so realistic
Yeah.
that it makes you feel the pain,
Yeah.
then if you kill the person in VR, the brain will kill itself because it believes it's dead.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean,
Does that make sense? 'Cause,
yeah.
like, if you think about it, your body cannot function without the brain.
Of course.
Pretty stupid that it's on an appendage that floats up in the air. Duck swoops down, crash. Oh, look at that. Now I can't breathe anymore because he took out my, what is it, medulla.
That part, yes.
Yes. But it's like, so I think that, I mean, killing someone in hyper-realistic VR is pretty much the same as killing them because they'll die.
I mean, I guess it depends
Get what I'm saying?
also on how they were killed. Like, if it's a quick gunshot to the head, I don't know how you would really emulate that kind of pain. Or, yeah, because, I mean, I don't know what being shot in the head feels like. I don't
either. I really don't think I want to either. You know, just personal preference, just kind of like, how about nah?
Yeah, but like in that kind of situations, like if you were just to shoot somebody in VR and in the head, and it's just like an instant kill, and you just respawn. Like, let's say if you were to die in that VR setting, you just, respawn back at your house or wherever you respawn point is.
So trippy on the brain, it would be like, what just happened? What is going on? I don't understand.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like like different types of acts of violence, like if you were to beat somebody to death, that is pretty like scarring, and in comparison to getting like shot in the head, if you were to get beaten to death, you're feeling every punch, every blow, and then as soon as you're done, you just come back and you don't feel any more pain.
But you still have the memory that that's what happened.
Yeah.
Okay. So really what we're looking at here is complete mental torture.
Basically.
It's just straight up. Because in VR, if it's hyper realistic, where you basically plug someone's consciousness into a computer,
yeah,
right, then it's pretty much like they're living that reality now. You know what I mean?
Basically, yeah.
So, I mean, obviously it's torture and it's mental torture, but
yeah.
And of course, torture isn't always a good thing.
It's usually not. I feel like
usually not, but we can relate it back to one of our previous podcasts with the is torture necessary in certain circumstances? Right. So maybe this is an alternative to actual physical torture. But
yeah.
Is it really different?
Well, I think what we mentioned in that podcast was that we like mental torture is almost a whole bunch worse than just actual physical pain and torture like that, because at the end of the day you're going to be scarred mentally, which is never going to leave you, in comparison to having a couple bruises or a broken arm or something like that.
Yeah.
Albeit those are very like calm methods of torture, breaking somebody's arm, but in comparison to what you could do. But yeah, if you're still experiencing the pain mentally, I feel like, yeah, that might cause...
This is where it gets weird, because so let's say you plug them into the VR.
Yeah.
Virtual reality, for all you geezers who are listening. But if you plug them in and they still feel all the pain, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you punch them in the face, they're like, my face. And then you just beat the crap out of them, right? Just bah, 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 bah. And then they respawn. And then you do it again. Whereas if it was reality, you could only beat them once.
One and done.
As horrible as that sounds, you can only beat the person once for the information. Whereas in virtual reality, you can beat them again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
Wow, making me sound like a horrible person. But in all reality, you're combining mental torture and pretty much physical torture. Because pain is all in your mind or what it's received anyways.
Yeah.
That's where it's like, it's triggered.
I think I was watching a show on Netflix. I don't remember the name, and I only watched a bit of it because I was at my dad's and he had it on. But in that show, there was a scene depicting exactly what we were talking about, where this guy's getting tortured in this VR setting, and every time he dies, he just pops back, and it's repetitive. The guy keeps getting tortured until he can release some information, and eventually he uses his Jedi mind tricks to break free of that stupid VR torture thing. Like, but
just outthink. How do you outthink a computer?
I don't even know. But yeah, it was but I know that some of the torture methods were actually affecting him physically, and so when he was laying down plugged into the machine, he's getting nosebleeds and whatnot, despite not having any actual physical contact, I guess.
Right. And you know what, actually? This reminds me of The Matrix. Because if you think about it, the Matrix, like the concept of it and the whole movie, The Matrix, what we call our real world, is just the best
simulation
virtual reality ever.
Yeah.
Right? And in that movie, similar to what you were just saying, if they get punched in the gut, they spit out blood.
Yeah.
In the actual real world.
Yeah.
But if their arm gets broken, it's not.
It's not in real life. Yeah, they feel it, but it's in real life they're still fine.
Yes. Okay. So here's where I would think it would mess with their head the most as far as mental torture goes.
Yeah.
Because if let's say you beat them 20 times before they give up the information. This random number. First of all, you're gonna need to keep like a psycho on standby to put in the VR with him to just beat whoever you put in there.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's people out there, so that shouldn't be too difficult.
Exactly. Anyways, but when you pull them out, like when they give the information, I feel like it would be so hard for them to be able to, from that point on, distinguish whether or not it was real or just an extended simulation.
Yeah.
I
mean,
what I mean?
I feel like that is one part of really hyper-realistic virtual reality, is that if it's super realistic, then it's as soon as you go into virtual reality setting, your mind is gonna have a hard time differentiating, fake from reality. Like as soon as you come out of the VR thing, you might not even think you're in reality. You might think that you're still plugged in.
Or they just plugged you in somewhere.
Or exactly, which is.
Or when they plugged you in, they actually unplugged you, and it's like, oh man, it hurts my brain thinking about this sometimes, because it's like, what if reality, right? It's just
VR.
Because that's the thing with VR. You don't know. Like, who knows? Maybe the Matrix is legit.
Yeah, but
someone used their Jedi mind tricks to just be like, no, I'm gonna be the new Neo.
It's very possible. But I was getting some information about this topic because I was really thinking about this one, and one thing someone said was that if you can justify murder in real life, then you could justify murder in a VR setting. So the example I was given was, say if you can feel basically everything like it was in reality, and Bill's just walking down the street, and up ahead,
Bill, he just walking.
Yeah, and say it's like a perfect replica of New York City, just for randomness. It's perfect New York City, and there's a whole bunch of people there.
So Bill's coughing. I can't breathe.
Exactly. So he's walking down, coughing along, and up ahead, he sees this guy start to maybe like rape or beat up somebody.
Okay.
Do you think Bill would have the right to, kill that person in the VR setting to, prevent them from raping? Because the lady or the person who's getting raped can feel that. And I chose rape because it's pretty bad.
Let me just make sure it's clear here.
Yeah.
So Bill
Yeah.
is a real person plugged into the VR.
Yes.
Are all the other people also plugged into this VR?
Yes.
Like, are they all real people?
Yes.
Because, like, when you first said it to me, I'm like, oh, so this is a program run by this system.
No, this is like multiplayer kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, and it's hyper real, so you can feel everything.
So even the person getting, I chose rape because it's like a really, it's something. If I saw somebody getting raped on the street,
I'd be like,
I'd beat the crap out of that person who's raping them. Like, I feel like that is almost, I wouldn't say murder is just for rape, but it's one of those situations.
You don't want that to happen.
Of course.
Hey.
But like,
do that. Okay.
Yeah.
So if Bill kills the rape, right? He just pulls out his gat, busts a cap.
Yeah.
Is that
justifiable?
Guy, like, does he still live real life?
Yeah, like he still exists. He's still alive in real life. He just had felt the pain of being murdered. Let's say, for vulgarity, Bill just beats the crap out of the guy because he doesn't have a gun, and so that rapist is now feeling every single blow that Bill gave him.
Okay, but this is tough because, like, yes, they don't die.
Yeah.
In real life.
Yeah.
But you can also relate it to where, like, in Ready Player One, where their whole world is in the VR.
Yeah.
And if you get you get fucked up, there was a guy who tried to jump out of a window.
Because he died.
That's just it. Like, if you kill someone's VR, let's say, Bill kills the rapist by beating him to death with his shoe, because he's 16 and uses the bottom of his leather shoe.
Yes.
Then I feel like it would take such a toll on whoever this rapist's mind,
Mm.
that it would lead him to be, affected or, yeah, I guess affected is the best word that I got in the real world.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you feel the pain of being literally
Beaten to death. Yeah.
and then you take off your headset and you're like, yo, it wasn't real.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start questioning, like, did I actually feel pain? See, of course, then you'd get some weirdos that just purposely did things to get killed in VR so they could, like,
Just feel pain. But, like, trying to turn this into a positive way, or no, I don't want to get, I'm going to forget what I just said. Forget what I just said. But, like, because you could technically, and Bill beating up the guy is also, he now has the feeling of beating somebody to death. Like, not only did the rapist get beat to death, Bill now knows what it feels like to beat somebody to death.
But did he?
But he didn't.
Or did he a programmed simulation of whoever this rapist was?
Yeah, which...
See, that's where it's tricky, because in VR, you would probably do things that you wouldn't do in real life.
Of course.
Because...
You can. Because you can.
Well, that's just it, but then other people would be like, no, this is real life. Whereas you're there thinking, no, this isn't. This is a virtual reality.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you're kind of like... Oh, man. VR freaks me out, because it's like...
It's only getting better.
Exactly. That's the stressful part. Why are we making VR better? Watch. We'll create a VR that sets us back to, like... I'm gonna go with 1850. We're all gonna plug in and then just recreate society past 1850, make it to 2030, invent VR again, and then plug ourselves into that, and it's just this never-ending dream.
Oh god, just this infinite cycle of VR.
Man, could you imagine? Oh,
I know.
Stressful time.
I was talking about virtual reality to somebody, and they mentioned the Fermi paradox. Basically, it's one of the reasons why, or potentially one of the reasons why, we haven't been in contact with another intelligent life form is because maybe that race, or that race of whatever, gets so advanced that they can create better simulated worlds for themselves. Like, instead of needing to rely on reality, they get so advanced as a society that they can just create a better virtual world for themselves and never leave. Because why would you leave paradise?
I mean, see, where that, I guess, runs into a little bit of trouble is somewhere they'll have to get a continuing energy source to sustain themselves. That's the other thing about VR. You can't live in VR because your actual body will die.
Well, yeah. I mean, you need to do natural things. You need to eat. You need to sleep. You need to...
Well, couldn't you sleep in the VR?
I guess.
Because your brain has it so realistic. Okay, now I'm going to take a little bit of a curveball on this one.
Okay.
Intercourse. Because you couldn't create a child.
Oh,
VR.
shoot.
Otherwise, that would be AI.
Yeah, no, you could not create...
So you couldn't.
A baby in VR.
Exactly.
Unless it would be, literally an AI, but that'd be weird as hell.
Oh man, that would be so stressful. It's just like your normal day in VR. Next thing you know, you just birth an AI. That would be so scary.
That's terrifying, man. You're like, I don't like that kid. Let me just never put that headset back on again. It just hops onto your smartphone. Where are you, father? Okay.
Start screaming World Star.
But yeah, I feel like I don't know. I mean,
See, the thing is, if VR
mm-hmm.
gets as advanced as it is,
Yeah.
or as it is most likely going to be,
Yeah.
to where we feel everything, it's pretty much like we just live there,
Yeah.
and only have to eat real food, then I feel like the laws that we have in our actual world would then start applying to the virtual world. Because
Yeah.
if they didn't, everyone would be running around just
killing.
You'd get the psychopaths that just keep respawning, go get their loot cache and just you know.
Yeah. It's.
See, but then that's the real question: how do you actually stop someone in hyper realistic VR? Because if you put them in jail,
They just take
their
off the
headset
headset.
off, or they just kill themselves and respawn.
Okay. Another question for you is, could you justify like just other crimes in VR, or if you were say raping somebody because, and they can feel that, right?
Did you just assume?
But yeah, say
Anyways.
say somebody is raping another person in VR and both sides feel it, like
Yes.
100%. Do you think that person would need to face real jail time in like reality?
I think it depends on how advanced the VR is, because if they're living in VR,
Yeah.
they'll have to fit the VR jail time. But if it's still like just something you can do, then I feel like they'd end up facing real jail time.
Okay.
What do you think?
When it comes to like, just if both parties can feel, say, getting beat up or beating somebody up, then even I don't know. It's kind of hard. I guess it depends on the severity and potentially the effect that what they did had on the other person, So if like when it comes to things, I'm only using rape so much because it's one of those things that it's scarring. It's not something.
Yeah, it's intense.
It's mentally scarring, and regardless of if it's in a VR setting or if it's in real life, it's not fun. So I feel like when it comes to that kind of situation, if it took a big mental toll, and I would assume it would, but if the other person, the person getting affected by it, is really like has their life completely shattered because of that, then I feel like the person who did it should face real jail time. But again, it really depends on how much time.
Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
If they're both in VR,
yes,
and they both can feel everything.
Yes.
And one person is not consenting.
Yes.
Couldn't they just
I mean, yeah. I mean, depending on how easy it is to.
See, that's where
there's a lot of
run into something, because if it's just
you just log out,
like the Ready Player One goggles, where you just
take them off
your face,
then yeah,
just take it off your face.
Just take it off your face. It's literally, yeah, just
whoop.
Somebody.
If it's like Matrix, where they shove a needle into the back of your head, then I'm sure it's not quite as easy.
Yeah, no, that would change a lot. That would change a massive part of that, because yeah, if you can just log out while you're getting beat up, then there's no problem. Just log out. Somebody chasing you and it's scary, just log out. No problem.
See, that's the other thing, where it's like, if we had a realistic VR where it's not easy to unplug, or you have to face VR justice, like a VR justice system, then the government would have to be able to control your setup.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which would be
If you
very.
think about it, like if you, let's say you kill a family because you're a creep, you know, you just
Yeah.
and then now you have to face VR justice, and then they, you know, they're questioning you, they're, you know, giving you the penance, and then you just log out. Then it's like kind of pointless.
Yeah.
But then if they make you stay in, then it raises another problem, which is now they have complete control over
of you, of what you
my
experience.
entire mind.
Yeah.
Because they could literally just be like, nope, you are now locked in prison, and just put a lock on your VR. And then you're like, what now? Which is
that's
super
terrifying.
creepy.
That is
I'm
terrifying.
not totally sure that I'm comfortable with some random guy controlling whether or not I have control of my mind.
Yeah, right? That is really scary. Because they could just throw you into like a never-ending nightmare loop.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that relates back to the original question we had way back at the start, which is basically just mental torture. But man, can you imagine if it was like, if they could just lock you in and just control your entire perception?
Oh man.
Reminds me of like Darkseid's, like, I can't remember what it does or what it's called, but he, like, once he kills you, he doesn't actually kill you. He like locks your soul in a never-ending death loop.
Oh.
Where you just die over and over and over and over again, and each time it just gets worse.
Oh, that sounds.
Yeah, that's something that like Darkseid can do.
Ah.
And it's just like, no, thank you, please no.
Yeah, cause that's pretty terrifying.
So, yeah.
It also
I'm having nightmares tonight.
Yeah, right. I know. There's a show called Black Mirror, and in that show, every episode's a different story, and they generally focus on sci-fi, kind of weird, futuristic. What is I don't know. It's like futuristic sci-fi settings that could happen, I guess.
Okay.
There's a word for it, but I can't remember. In one episode, it was a VR. Basically, this guy he goes out and he tests a hyper realistic VR game, and unbeknownst to him, it was a horror game. That basically the program would read your worst nightmares, and would show them to you. And this guy is just walking in a house because he was supposed to like stay in a house for a couple hours or something, or until he had enough. And
okay.
so there's like massive spiders crawling up the wall, and stuff. But in that situation, I don't believe he could feel. Actually, no. In that situation, he could feel everything. It was super hyper realistic, and spoiler alert. At the end of the, eventually he just starts losing his mind and starts seizing. And then at the end of the episode, you see the doctor or the analyst, looking at the data, seeing how long he survived. But he, because his phone went off in real life, and he had it near him, but he was not supposed to have it near him. And it was his mom calling, and it gave him a lot of anxiety attack. And so he heard that in real life, but he was in the VR setting, and I think that was what gave him, like, the seizure or something like that. But
see, that's just it. Like, I feel like if, like, there'd have to be a trip, like, in the VR coding, where it's like, if your mind is about to crack, there'd be like a brainwave sensor, and if it's like, this is a problem, it'll trip a fail.
Yeah, and you just pull you out.
You instantly, just
whoa.
Okay. we Gucci.
And the main part that I was gonna say, in that show, he only lasted like 3 seconds. Like that whole entire thing was 3 seconds, even though in the show it looked like for him he experienced probably hours worth of content. So if imagine if VR can, I want to say, if time in VR happens faster than time in reality, like what would be the consequences of that? If you were to say 1 minute here is equal to an hour in VR.
Well, see, that's just it, because your brain can process information way faster than our meat sacks can move.
Yeah.
You know, like, it would be so crazy, because you could go through your entire workday in 5 minutes.
Basically.
Well, I guess 8 minutes.
8 minutes, yeah. Or
if we're using... But, see, then what would you do with the rest of your time? And then like, what would you do? You'd sleep for 8 minutes and then work for 8 minutes?
I mean, it would be, if it was like a 1 minute in real life is equivalent to an hour in VR, like, I play a lot of video games, and when I game, I probably game for, depends on how, you know, into it I am, but sometimes it can go for like 4 to 12 hours straight.
Ooh,
but
was pushing it for me,
but I mean, those are on the really extreme days, but like still, even just being like how much development you can have personally in those 8 minutes that you're in VR, which is equivalent to 8 hours. Like, you could live an entire lifespan in VR in less than a day if it was like 1 minute to an hour. And that, I don't know how mentally taxing that would be. Like, an 8-year-old kid could live a few years if he spent like a couple weeks in VR. If it was...
See, but then, okay, if, man, could you imagine that, like, in VR reality, we'd live to like 2,000 years old?
Yeah. What is
2,000 years? I'm crazy. 2,000, that's a week. It's
yeah.
even a week.
That is a lot of time in not a lot of time.
See, that's just it, though, because I feel like they'd have to slow the VR down.
They would have to.
Otherwise, our brains would literally just pop.
Our, like, natural circadian cycle would flick itself off because we don't know what time it is. You only spent 5 minutes, but it felt like 5 hours. You know?
Exactly. So they would have to slow it down because our brains aren't designed to process that quickly. Like, well, I mean, yes, they can process that quickly, and that's how fast we think.
Mm-hmm.
Me formulating these words right now, but they're not meant to live an entire day in 8 minutes.
No.
That would be so taxing on your brain. It would be like, man, can you imagine though? Like, okay, real world, baby pops out, plug him into a VR, instant adult by the end of the day.
Oh God. Oh yeah.
That would be so weird though.
But not really. Like, I mean, the kid would have the mindset. But would it though? Because, like, I don't know how
your
babies
doesn't develop that quickly.
Yeah. So I don't know how you'd be able to perceive or take in that much information.
This is hurting my brain.
Okay, one more thing that wasn't not my idea. I don't want to steal this, but it would, like, imagine a job, right? Say like a factory job. Okay.
Okay.
Say you stamp papers. For whatever reason, they need humans to stamp papers, or it's just a job that only can really be done by humans, and no AI could really do it. All right.
That is like the most AI capable job ever. Anyway, continue. Continue.
Yes. Okay. I mean, stamping. That bad example, but we're using it. So
we got it. Okay.
So, say you like sign a contract with this company, and that contract, it's like you stay at the company. You know, they'll give you food, they'll give you breaks. You know, you'll have a shower, you have your own room, but like you work your regular 8-hour shift, and then once you get off that shift, you go into a like a VR dock or something like that, and it just plugs you into the body of a robot, and then you have to do the same job just in that robot's body. Like, same brain in the robot's body.
Okay,
But
so basically what you're saying is your brain works 16 hours, but your body 8 hours and 8 minutes.
yeah,
Okay.
basic. Oh, no. Like, it's the same time. Like, you're not going into a VR setting, but it's, imagine if you were basically taking your consciousness from your organic body and just putting it into a robot body so that your organic body could rest and then the robot body would do work while you're still conscious in that robot.
Okay, and then after the 8 hours,
Of-
you put the brain back into the meat body.
Yeah.
And then it continues doing the job.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that because your brain has to rest.
Yeah.
It's like sleep
Is the
not
necessary.
for your body. Your body, it's fine.
It's fine.
Don't get me wrong. Like, stress on the joints. Sit down for
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Get stretch out.
Sleep is for your brain. So if your brain goes ham
Then
for 16 hours, it's gonna be like, okay, that's enough. Let me go.
let me shut off real quick.
Yeah, let me get a quick recharge.
That, I guess, yeah, that you do need sleep. I kind of forgot about sleep. But yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be interesting. Or even just being able to go into like another robot body and work.
Yeah. Well, like, yeah, that's cool. Anyways, we should
Regardless.
circle back to
Go
the
back.
original question.
Could you justify murder in a VR
Can
setting?
you justify murder in a VR setting? I feel like it depends on how real it is. Because if it's just something that you can do for fun, and someone is doing something that you don't like, you kill them. There's no actual consequences beyond you just respawning and them respawning.
Maybe losing some loot or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. But the minute it gets into a region where it's like, this is pretty much
Reality.
running, yeah, where it's pretty much real, they feel everything, you feel everything, because it'll trigger your remorse as well. Then I feel like at that point, you need to instate regular laws.
Or at least like
Yeah, you know.
slightly adjusted to VR laws, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think I don't think any murder is just, right, in real life. So that same logic would apply to a hyper realistic version of real life. If everybody feels the pain, then no, you shouldn't be murdering people, even though it isn't real life. However, if it's just like VR as it is right now, where we don't feel pain, but maybe you might feel like an impact on your chest. If it was something like that, I think you can kill people, because I know there's going to be some gun, like modern warfare VR games,
Obviously.
right? So, but yeah, if you can feel the pain, if it's basically perfect copy of reality, then no, you cannot, no, you should not. It's not justified, even though they don't die.
Just don't do that.
Just
not okay.
Yeah. But yeah.
Fair enough. All right, thank you everyone for listening to The Gray Area. Again, we welcome your thoughts, comments in the comment section below.
Thank you guys for listening, and have a good one.